Okay, class, good morning. So, I am your teacher now for science. I am Miss Andrea Tamala. So, before we start, Diana, lead the prayer. Okay, before taking your seat, please pick up first some pieces of paper and arrange your seats properly. Okay, you may now take your seat. Okay, class, let us start checking the attendance. Just say present when your last name is called. Barnuevo, Bulawan, Celidonio, Dastas, De La Cruz, Gayona, Mandasok, Meran, Nacario, Vergara, Zales. So before starting today's lesson, let us first have a review about previous discussion. So, what was our previous topic all about? Yes, Alshana? Very good. So what have you learned about the different kinds of animals? Yes, Jade. That was correct, Jade. What else have you learned aside from the bills of the birds? Yes, Rhea. Great, Rhea. I am happy to hear that you still remember the topic that we have discussed last meeting. That will be a good start for today because we are going to talk about a more interesting topic which is still related to animal. So are you ready for today's lesson? But before starting that very interesting discussion, let us first have a simple explanation about reproduction in animals. Animals are living things. Living things can reproduce their own kind. Dogs reproduce puppies, cats reproduce kittens. Some animals may not look exactly like the parents' animals at birth. However, as the baby animals grow and develop, they will look like parent animals. Have you seen a cow give birth to a baby goat? An animal reproduces only its own kind. Reproduction is the process by which animals produce young animals of their own kind. So, how do you think young animals develop? Very good. Some animals hatch from eggs. Birds watch over the eggs they lay until they are hatched. They feed the baby birds until they can find food for themselves. Other animals such as snakes, crocodiles, and turtles leave their eggs. When the eggs hatch, the young animals look for their own food. Some animals develop inside the body of the parent animal. Some young animals develop inside the body of the parent animal. They came out as baby animals. Dogs, cats, cows, horses, and carabaos give birth to their young animals which develop inside their bodies. Some animals born as baby animals are fed by their parent animals soon after birth. Some animals born as baby animals are left by their parents to find their own food. Okay, so much for that. Let us now move on our next lesson proper. So our lesson for today is all about animal reproduction. What is reproduction, by the way? Anyone? Okay, Mr. Barnuevo. That's great. Very good. In animal reproduction, there should be, number one, parents. Why? Because they are the one who will initiate the reproduction. What do you think is a very good example? Yes, Jade? Very good. And the product of that reproduction is the blank. It is the offspring. Very good. The young or child of the parents. And a good example of that is, yes, Miss Gayona? That's right. Okay. There are two primary ways for animals to reproduce. Do you have any prior knowledge? What are those? Yes, Alberta. That's great, Alberta. Let's give Alberta a big clap. So let's start with the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction, reproduction that involves the union of two special cells or sexy cells during sexual intercourse. So what are these sex cells? Sex cell, also called gametes. Gametes that has two kinds, egg cells and sperm cells. What are the sex cells? Sex cells are called gametes, which is gametes has two kinds. The egg cells, which from the female parent, and then the sperm cells from the male parent. If the male and the female intercourse, then they are initiating a reproduction. Asexual reproduction. Reproduction without sex cells or without having a sexual intercourse. Only one individual produces the offspring. Usually done by the invertebrates or soft-bodied organisms or without vertebrates. Have you already seen mating frogs or fishes? Frogs or fishes having sex? Okay, I will discuss to you and illustrate some examples of mine, like the frog. So, the female frog releases many eggs in the water surrounded by jelly-like substance. So, it is like a jelly because it is smooth and soft. Okay? The male frog releases a sperm cell over them, then fertilization takes place. Frog fertilizes their eggs externally. External fertilization is also what it's called. Unlike humans and other mammals, which fertilizes internally. When we call internally, internal fertilization. Humans and other mammals develop embryo at their female reproductive organ. You might be also wondering, class, why there are animals which came from eggs like birds, snakes, and turtles. So, as you can see, when the frog hatch, so this is their eggs, and then the tadpole, and the next one here, and then until the young adult. In sexual reproduction, a process called fertilization should take place to start the whole process of reproduction. So I have here the example of the fertilization. So this is the egg cell and the sperm cells. It shows that there are millions of sperm cells that will try to fertilize the egg cell, but only one will win, the fastest and the strongest. So this example is look like there's a million, and then only one can enter, which is the fastest and the strongest. So fertilization, the act of introducing a male reproductive material, or sperm cells, to the female reproductive cell or egg cells. A process where the egg cell and the sperm cell unite to form a single cell. For many animals, but not all, it happens inside the female reproductive organ of the mother. You might be also wondering, class, why there are animals which came from the eggs like birds, snakes, and turtles. Well, they are called oviparous. They are the animals that lay egg, which is egg is a storage of a fertilized egg, or egg cell or zygote. The female parent will lay on it to continue the development of the embryo outside the body of the female parents. So these are the example: the chicken, the snake, the bird, the turtle, even also the crocodile. So now class, I will let you observe some example of an egg. I want you to list your observation at this meta card here, and then I will just give 3 minutes to list your observation. Okay, collect observation from the groups and then discuss the observation and the function of each part of the egg. Okay, as you can see, these are the parts of the egg. The first is the shell. So, the shell, chiefly made up of calcium carbonate, that makes it hard. So, what do you think are the main purpose for the shell? Yes, Miss Nakario. Okay. So, chorion, a membrane that regulates passage of air, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. So, what have you noticed when you are eating balut? Yes, Mr. Mandasok. Very good. There is also an air sac or air space. Provide some of the air needed by the embryo. So this is the air space. And then the albumen or the egg white. The egg white, which is, what do you think is that for? Okay, the egg white supplies water and the other nutrients needed by the embryo. So the next one is yolk. So this is the yolk. The yolk provides the embryo with food inside the egg. And then the next one is the white spot. Okay, the white spot, soon to be developed as embryo. Okay, thank you class. So, for today assignment, differentiate egg from egg cells and then cite some evidences. So that would be all for today and you are now dismissed. Thank you and goodbye.